Fashion, health and beauty, career, home and decor, behavior and family. It's the woman in question, because the world belongs to women. Woman in question, it's more than just information. Woman in question. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the program, Woman in Question.
We're starting this wonderful afternoon here on ABC Reporter. You know, this afternoon we're welcoming a really cool guest here, and we were talking about politics, which I think is a topic that interests all of us, not just because we're citizens and we have a duty to vote, but mainly about knowing who to vote for and how. I think the Brazilian people are still very uninformed in this regard. I believe we're still learning how to vote and how to be true citizens. And to chat with us this afternoon, we have Ana Lucia, who is the marketing director of Escola Conquest. Welcome, it's great to have you here.
Thank you everyone, right? Thank you for the invitation. I think it's really important for us to bring this topic to people so they can reflect a bit more on it.
That's true. And you who are following us too, hey, on Instagram, right? You're very welcome this afternoon. You can also like, comment, share, and we're really happy to have you watching us. You can also follow our Cardoso Media on Instagram and Mulher and Questão, both on Instagram and Twitter, Facebook, and also on YouTube. This interview will certainly be available on our YouTube channel, Woman in Question, tomorrow. Thank you very much. You're always welcome, you know. So, Ana, we were just discussing, you think that Brazilians still need to learn about this issue of voting, who to vote for, and especially paying attention to a politician's speech.
We're working on a program focused on training and preparing people who are interested in running for an elected position, but also for those who work on electoral campaigns, because there's a whole team behind it supporting a candidate or who will later be part of a government. So it's really important that this whole team is prepared, knows at least the basics of that public management structure, that political structure, even to instill confidence in those who will vote, for those who will take on the role of senator. What we often notice is that many candidates, even when we talk about municipal elections, many candidates for city council often don't even know what they're going to do when they're elected as councillors. So sometimes we see some speeches that don't match the role of a councillor, what he will do when he is elected as a councillor. So sometimes we see some speeches that are not in line with the role of a councillor. So it's really important that the candidates, the advisors, that team that will work for the people at least has a minimum basic understanding of how that administration works, how the legislative works, and that the people who are going to vote, who are going to choose their representative, also have that knowledge. Just so they can say, hey, I don't think this person is prepared because what they're saying doesn't relate to the role they're going to take on, for sure. Even to know, hey, I think this person isn't prepared because what they're saying doesn't relate to the role they're going to take on.
For sure. You know, I was really happy to find out that this course exists, because sometimes we see so many people out there with degrees, MBAs, I don't know, and when it comes to doing something for the people, they only do it for themselves, right?
Exactly.
The pen is only useful, but it's important for the person to be prepared as well, right? At least when it comes to knowing how to speak, so that she can present herself more clearly and reach all audiences.
And another thing, Priscilla, I think the main thing is for that candidate, that manager, to know how to communicate with the population, with their voters, with the residents, with the community. He needs to be in tune with the interests of the population. It's really important that this is done for the sake of the public policies that will be developed later. They really need to meet the interests and needs of that population.
For sure. So this course from the school is aimed at that audience who wants to take on a position like public career. After all, let's agree that being a counselor isn't a profession, right, dear?
Exactly.
Being a counselor is nothing and being a politician is nothing. I'm just going to call it out right away. But he thinks it's something, right? Because he was elected by the people. We have to respect that. But to earn respect, you have to give respect. And there are some who have no moral to demand any respect. Let's agree on that.
So at least they should prepare themselves, prepare their team, prepare their advisory, and the population too, right? Here's an invitation for everyone who is interested. I think everyone should be interested because the elections are coming up. Voting is mandatory. We need to take advantage of the right we've earned and prepare ourselves, get to know who these people are, these candidates, study the proposals, analyze them, see who really aligns more with your ideals, which proposal best meets what you believe in, what you think will be best for your community.
As a marketing director, do you think marketing makes a difference in a politician's life?
Makes a difference in political life.
For example, they say that Doria got elected because of the jingle, right? That jingle that said, "I'm also a worker."
Well, marketing makes a difference for any segment, whether it's business, a career, any type of segment. I think marketing is important because it's totally related to the image, especially in the case of a politician, the image they want to project.
Especially as a public figure.
Exactly. But the important thing is exactly that, knowing how to talk to that audience, knowing how to win over that audience, because the politician represents a part of the population. So he needs to be able to convey exactly what his ideas are, what his proposals and projects are, and know how to communicate that to people and the population too, right? The population also needs to know, they have to be prepared, know how to evaluate, know how to choose their representatives well, so that what we've been seeing happen for a few years, actually for so many years, for so many decades, doesn't happen again. Because unfortunately in our country, we've been through a lot of tough times in politics, right? And more we're realizing that we can't just ignore this issue.
It's just so ignorant, right, folks? And honestly, come on, let's agree on that, right? We need to start taking an interest. We all need politics. We make politics.
We do it every day, right?
And even indirectly, because when you go to the market, you see the price of beans per kilo. And then when the electricity bill comes, you think, what's going on with this?
It's all reflecting in our daily lives. Political decisions are directly happening in our daily lives. When you turn on a faucet, the water that's coming out depends on a whole bunch of political decisions behind that.
You reminded me of something, a political issue. Guys, you see, for example, what I've always been able to understand. I was at Social Security the other day. It was a place where there should have been 3 people to provide information, but there was only 1. Where there should have been 16, there were only 4. Now tell the politician if it's okay to have just 4 people sitting in the city council taking care of the municipality. What are they going to argue? So what I'm trying to say is this. It seems like no one is going to retire, right? It seems like suddenly tomorrow you won't need the down payment. But I'm going to say all of this is the opposite. You will need it, and then you will remember it's a political issue we're talking about.
Exactly.
So sometimes we only remember to demand when we need it. and it can't be like that.
No, it really can't. We have see ourselves in others. We were just talking a little while ago, I was mentioning this series that just premiered on Netflix, The Mechanism, which talks about the Lava Jato operation, bringing back all that history. It's a fiction based on real events, but that already shows the importance of the subject being addressed from various angles, and it seems like it's all grabbing people's attention. Look, guys, pay attention. Let's start analyzing a little better what's going on. This year is a very important year. We can't just ignore it.
You're talking about that movie. I even saw an interview with Selton Mello where he said he never liked politics, but he needed to get informed about it and study politics. And then he said, I started to like it even less, but it doesn't depend, right? It doesn't depend, like it or not. Whether you like it or not, it's a personal matter. Now, once you have to participate, you also need to have an understanding of what it is, right? I think he was even sincere, because I believe that in reality, Brazilians don't like politics because we see so much corruption.
But it's a vicious cycle, right? It becomes a snowball effect because you don't like it, you don't care. Those who like politics end up running for office, getting elected, and sometimes they're not well-intentioned. So how do we solve this? What if we keep closing our eyes, turning our backs on the issue, and pretending that nothing is happening?
For sure. Now, Anna, a question for us to wrap up. How are women doing in politics? There they have forces, and I imagine it's more for men, more for women. Who looks for it more?
No, look, believe it or not, no, right? Women generally, they're a bit more interested in wanting to learn, I don't know. That's the impression I have, but the demand is a bit more from women. It's because we have the online course, the distance learning course, the political education course we're launching now, completely online, 100% online. So we're noticing that the demand is a bit higher from women. Women are actually showing a bit more interest.
That's cool. So look at the women being more dedicated. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow we'll have an equal number too.
And we need to, because unfortunately the number of women representatives in government is still very small. I was actually reading yesterday a report saying that 86% of the candidates, out of the total number of candidates, 86% of those who receive no votes are women.
Oh my God. Now, don't you think that it's not just about women's participation, but also about women believing in other women?
I think there's also a bit of that. I think there's a lack of interest from women to be in politics, to step up as representatives, as candidates, and maybe also a bit of women voting more for women. Although I don't really like that segregation. I think men and women should vote for the candidate they identify with the most in terms of their proposals and ideals. You're absolutely right.
It's just that we have more men than women.
But I think women could do a lot of things because women's perspectives are different. Women have a different view than men on some issues. So I think it would be, the ideal would be for the number of female representatives to be higher, to be at least more. Similar to the number of male representatives in politics.
Oh, for sure. Guys, I really loved our chat. It goes by quickly. Did you see loves the Instagram? But I think it makes sense. What you brought up about having the awareness to fulfill our role, to be present, to place ourselves within society, within our community, and at our workplace. Being attentive, the more observant eye with more attentive ears. I think it's more about listening, more about absorbing. Even when you have to express an opinion, you should express a strong opinion. an opinion with common sense, with criteria based on some important observation so that people can also trust it. Because the other day I wrote, and I believe this, Anna, that we are all influenced and therefore influencers since social media emerged. So we have to know how to position ourselves and mainly observe. I want to thank you so much for being here.
I thank you all. I hope we can have another chat some other day.
For sure, I hope you can too. And who wants to take the online course?
Just go to the Conquest School website, escolaconquest.com.br.
Look at that, everyone, how amazing. Suddenly, maybe tomorrow you, woman who's watching us, might say, wow, I'm going to be a representative, right? So invest in that, because we need more women in politics, and we also need more qualified men who don't say so much nonsense.
That's right.
A kiss for you all. I'm going to wrap it up here and see you tomorrow, God willing. Kiss.